What's up, guys? My name is Splattercat, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle for this another episode of our Expeditions Conquistador LP. So, we had come back to our fort, and that's what we had done. We had fortified ourselves here, we had made it back, and actually the barracks is now rebuilt. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that and figure out how that whole thing functions. And it says, the foreman of your workers proudly meets you in the courtyard and takes you straight to the newly rebuilt barracks. They're spacious enough to hold a large battalion of guards in addition to your own expedition members. From now on, your fortress will slowly attract a contingent of Spanish soldiers for your garrison. The strength of your garrison could end up determining the fate of this entire region. The more parts of the fortress you restore, the faster your garrison will grow. Okay, so let's visit the barracks. Through the furnishings of your barracks are somewhat... though the furnishing... God, I am so sleepy. I've recorded like 8 of these episodes today, and I'm just like... I think I just did too much. I did too much yesterday. I slept like all day today, and I'm just ass dragging, and I don't know why. Though the furnishings of your barracks are somewhat on the Spartan side, your expedition members seem overjoyed simply at the chance to sleep in a real bed. We perform a head count. Your barracks will house 20 soldiers, none of whom would hesitate to die to protect your fortress should the need arise. There's no guy in the back that's like, hey, I didn't agree to this. He's just complaining in the back. It doesn't say anything about this in my contract. But let's see here. Oh, it just does the same head count. All right. Well, let's expand the fortress. And I guess the last thing on the list that we could probably get away with, let's build a tavern because people need to get nice and trashed every now and again. So once we've got that out of the way, let's look at the barracks and take a look at the different things that we have. Oh, that's the workshop. Okay, so the workshop allows us, I'm not going to read all this, but let's see here. Okay, so what it allows us to do is we could actually have our workshop produce things that we want. I'm going to have them make oil so that we can make a lot more cannonballs. And so once you do that, you can actually come back after a week or two and they will give you the supplies that you have ordered, which I think is a pretty cool feature. It allows you to stock up on the things you might otherwise be sort of short on. So I can sell like 60 of our medicine right now. There we are, and that's going to give me a little bit of extra spending money for the road. Additionally, it's going to let me equip people. So let's grab, well, I'm trying to figure out how I leave people here. Let's see if I can leave people here to do their thing. So we can visit the barracks, and in doing the head count, well, it's not letting me do that, but I'm just going to assume that it's assigning NPCs, and I actually can't leave people behind, which is a little strange because I was looking forward to having kind of a backline defense force, but in any case, that at least allows me to keep extra people in my group should anything go wrong, should things go, I forgot to go to the stables. Ah, well, too late now. I'm not going to go back. It's actually just going to waste time doing that, but on the menu for today, the menu of delicious slaughter, we have a number of things we need to take care of, and first on the list is actually striking out at Atlan. That is the next tactical resource that we need to deprive the Aztecs of in order for Texcoco and Tepictoten and Papalan and all those different places. I totally pronounced most of those names wrong. It's all good, though. Don't worry. Shh. It's fine. Don't mention anything. Nobody will care. And so we need to go to, not Papantla. That's Papatlan. I was thinking Mazatlan and Papantla combined. I don't know. We got to go to Atlan, though. So that's where we're going to head now. We're going to get ourselves into a fight there, and if we can win, it's going to weaken the Aztecs' control of the region, which is exactly what we want. We want the Aztecs to be more or less deprived of everything they care about so that our allies can actually invade. Now, in the greater scheme of things, I don't really know how it's going to play into our Spanishness. Now, the conquistadors were famous for pitting the natives against one another and then kind of swooping in to kind of take care of business. And that's actually what I'm sort of considering doing here in the greater scheme of things. When we end our journey, I believe that Tepictoten and all them may be weakened, and we might be able to claim a sizable chunk of this area. Or in the worst case scenario, if you really want to get down to brass tacks, the worst case scenario is at least everybody will be allied with us so that we can expand without anybody being like, hey, what are you up to? I noticed that your farm kind of moved closer to my farm last week, and you're kind of inside my bubble, man. And then we can just pull the guilt card and be like, well, I helped you free your people, bro, so I figured you wouldn't mind losing an acre or two. And he'd be like, all right, it's all good. I imagine them talking kind of like the peasants from Warcraft 2. Yes, me lord. And all that kind of stuff. Now, I think this is Atlan. Yes, it is. So let's see what kind of mayhem we can cause. We can release nothing noticeable has changed in Atlan. It's still the monument to misery and despair that you remember from your last visit. The chieftain, Quintley, is alive, but he still needs his wife to fetch him for you. We can release the enormous jaguar into the city, which is actually, I'm going to do it. we're going to release the cat. And so you rendezvous with the warriors from Zalapa outside the city and inform them of your plans. Tepik Toten's warriors still surround the city to make sure nobody can escape. You'll bring the jaguar cage into the city, open it, and fall back. Once the monster has had its way with the unsuspecting townsfolk, you will move in and mop up the survivors while the warriors of Zalapa raise and loot the buildings. Your servants transport the VH2 rather nervously through town, covered with a heavy fabric. The townsfolk stare with curiosity at the package while the servants gather their courage. Then they quickly pull off the cloth and bash off the lock, whereupon they immediately turn about and sprint back out of the city as fast as their legs will carry them. This is like... Oh my god, that's ridiculous. The jaguar reacts much like you'd expect, with utter frenzy. The screams last a surprisingly long time, and you catch a glimpse of the giant feline chasing a trapper and his terrified family out of Quadatlan into the wilderness to the west. Your people draw their weapons and prepare to move in and mop up the remains of the settlement's warriors. God, that is terrible. It's terrible, but for whatever reason, my awful black humor side just found that to be hilarious for some reason. I don't really know why. It's just, I think it's the ingenuity of it. Well, we've got this panther, you see, and we haven't really used the panther. I think we should definitely use the panther. I want to know who the guy was in my group that was he was the pro panther guy. Like, everything else was set up. We had barricades, guns, and so forth, and he was like, you know what we could do? We've got a panther. And everybody was like, oh yeah, we got a panther, man. Let's use the panther. I'm going to put the cannon right there, I think, and then we're just going to fire down the street at people. And so we've got enough cannonballs to last a while. And so our first shot is going to go right to nowhere because they're out of range. But the thing we might consider doing is actually just making a line right here. I don't know if the cannon's going to be able to fire through our ranks, but it's worth a shot. No, I don't want you player messages. Be gone! So let's grab everybody we can, including Kit Lolly, because I want to test her out on the front lines. And then everybody else, I suppose, will just be lined up in the back. I don't really know... We're fighting kind of in limited space here, so we'll have to live with however this turns out. But I think we're in pretty good shape to allow the turn to pass, and then we'll see if we can knock over Quadatlan rather easily. We're only up against 6 people, so I can't see any way that they'd be able to resist us, especially since they were all just smallpox ridden, and that makes me kind of nervous about killing them. Can you catch smallpox by killing somebody with it? It's a little bit terrifying. Now they're actually going to move forward a tad. He's going to make a terrible tactical error and just close with me as much as possible, which means I'm going to stab him, and then we're going to test out that blowgun. Oh, never mind. It's a super awesome kind of World of Warcraft looking bow. Never mind then. We're going to fire just kind of randomly through our lines. I know that my ranged guys aren't so good at actually landing hits, but he did get a Relentless there, so maybe we'll get a double shot. Lovely. I wonder if you can proc Relentless off a double shot. That would be pretty cool. Let's see if we can fire a cannonball anywhere here. We can put a cannonball, sort of. Not really. Not really. So we're going to save the cannonballs for now. The cannon's deployed, so in the worst case, we can fall back behind our lines and see if we can get anything done there. We already have one enemy down. This battle is more or less won. They're going to put some damage on Anna Vidal. They do seem to focus on my scout quite a bit, but then again, so would I, knowing the damage potential that the scout actually has on her belt. You know, like, her utility belt of pain is quite well developed, so it's just something to think about. Let's go ahead, and I'm actually going to move... Let's move the scout to there, and that's going to be a kill. We will take Coyote, I think, and we'll kind of just make a new line here, maybe. We'll move Kit Lolly to there, and I actually wanted to test out this defense-ignoring attack against one of these Jaguar guys. Oh my god, 81 damage? Are you serious? That is some serious pain dealing, my friends. That is some serious... Well, I mean, it's going to leave a scar. It's going to leave a mark. And my warrior actually managed to shoot somebody for once, which is a nice change of affairs. I'm going to move this guy to right here and see if we can get a shot off. Just do whatever damage we can to the remainder of the enemy's forces. We'll put Coyote right there, and we'll give Anna Vidal a break. Have the doctor step over to here and use the nuke heal on Vidal. And more or less, this guy is shaking in his... Well, he's shaking in his loincloth. But unfortunately, we have to come back with results here because we have to side with somebody. Thus far, I mean, I bet you can probably just sow discord and just annihilate everybody because it didn't seem to take away our ability to destroy, like, what's the name of that town? I've already forgotten. Blah, blah. I can't remember the name of the town. But in any case, we were able to destroy cities from both sides, which makes me wonder what unique opportunities were kind of veiled there. Makes me wonder what we could have gotten away with in the long run, but Questions for another playthrough. So we'll take a shot right there. Everybody else is going to defend. We'll finish off this gent. And wow, critical hit, 91 damage. That is insane. And we managed to win the battle. We've actually sacked the city, so we're in really good shape. The warriors protecting its Quintly put up a good fight, but when your people have defeated them, it becomes clear that despite the size of Atlan, these were all the capable fighters that the city had. Your Totonac allies move into the city without any real resistance, only killing what desperate few civilians chose to stand against them. Everybody else is rounded up in the city center. The leader of the warriors from Zalapa approaches you respectively. Respectfully. What shall we do with the surviving townsfolk, honored El Gato del Splatter? Most of them are very sick and none of them pose any real threat. Let's go ahead and let them stay. And we'll let them live. I'm not going to be a dick and commit genocide here. The champion nods, surprised but perhaps a bit pleased with your order, and relays your mercy to the prisoners. A few of them burst into tears, and they all disperse back into the town. Meanwhile, the Totonac warriors get to work setting up lookouts and fortifying the city against possible Aztec counterattacks. Your people quickly search the warriors you killed, finding a few salvageable pieces of equipment and some rations. The chieftain's hut yields a few valuable trinkets of gold and jade decorated with pearls. Then you are ready to move on. So we got 2 equipment, 7 food, and 110 valuables. So we're in pretty good shape. Let's go ahead back to Zalapa, and then we will find out what our next goal is and see if we have enough time, because honestly, we're only about, not even halfway through our time at the moment, so honestly, we could probably get some nice things done. Let's go ahead and rest for the night on the road here. We're probably going to get robbed, but it'll turn out okay. It always turns out okay. We've been robbed blind this entire trip, and we always manage to survive, so even though we're a victim in many cases, we've managed to make a lot of victims too, and I think that's really what counts. You have to make sure that your victims outnumber the amount of times you've been victimized. Is that how it works? That seems like a really terrible self-propagating just train of misery. So here in Zalapa, we'll get whatever the next thing is that we're supposed to do from our leader. Tepictoten meets you outside the palace and personally leads you into his throne room. Word of your success in Atlan has reached me in advance of our own return. Not a glorious battle to fight, I'll be the first to admit, but you and your people did well nevertheless, and you should feel proud of that. We now control all territory north of Tenochtitlan. The Aztecs won't let this stand, man. He settles onto his stool, concern written in the lines of his face. I agree, and indeed I anticipate that they will soon strike at us preemptively. They will not attempt to take Zalapa yet, we are too well defended, nor will they attempt to reclaim Atlan, which they honestly never consider to be that important. Without my presence, my fortress is vulnerable to attack. He thinks a moment and nods. I had not thought of that, but you're correct. If an Aztec division can move up between Atlan, which we hold in Zalapa, and take your fortress, our west flank is exposed. That would make it difficult to maneuver. You must return to your fortress and make preparations to defend it in case the Aztecs attack. They may already be on their way for all we know. When you are confident that your fortress is prepared, return here. Then we will march on Tenochtitlan. It has been some time since you last received a reward that has done your valuable service justice. Our coffers are of course stretched to their limits due to your impending war, but my servants will bring a chest to your caravan full of jewelry, statuettes, and other gold and silver trinkets. You're very generous, or I can be an asshole and just be like, it's about time, man. The chieftain smiles. Good luck with your fortress. We will await your return. Well, we already have a garrison, and we've built just about everything there is there, so let's just get this thing going. Tepictoten is pacing around his throne, speaking quickly and loudly to a group of high-ranking warriors assembled before him. You had better not interrupt. Oh, well, maybe it wants me actually to go, touch base with the fort. Just run over there and be like, tag, and then come back. So maybe we'll consider doing that. I'll probably let's grab the goodies. We might as well keep as many goods on hand as we can while we travel. It couldn't hurt anything. Let's take a look at tinkering, what we can make. It's not a whole lot here. We haven't finished a lot of our inventions, so let's go ahead and we'll set somebody to work on inventions. We'll have him go with pickaxes, just to make sure that something's being worked on. There's no achievements or anything of that nature, but if there were, you probably want to finish all of your research and things like that in order to get the maximum amount of gamer score or trophies or whatever it is that makes you happy. It's weird though, because when I play the PlayStation or I play the Xbox, I really do want achievements. For some reason I'm obsessed with them, but when I play games on Steam or whatever, I just don't care. I don't know if it's because Steam doesn't give me a numerical value, I don't get 10 points that don't matter that for some reason I care about when I beat something on Steam, but for some reason I have that large number on my Xbox gamer tag, and it just makes me happy seeing that number go up. It's like my gamer bank account somehow. And I realize it's honestly not that pertinent of a number, but for whatever reason, I like 100% in games and getting those little badges they give you. It makes me feel like I'm in the Boy Scouts of video gaming. Although a lot less kind of, I don't know. I never had fun in the Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts always just seemed like an extra chore. I wasn't in the Boy Scouts. I was in like this religious version of them, and it was honestly like never that great. It was one of those things where it was extra homework. You got home from school and you had to do extra homework basically. Let's head back to, we found 6 oil. That's pretty good. That'll give us a couple more cannonballs. Let's touch base here at our fort. In fact, they may make us defend it, which would be interesting. And your arrival at the fortress almost goes unnoticed amidst the chaos of preparations for battles. Soldiers and servants are nearly tripping over one another on their way across the courtyard. Officers shout terse orders from the battlements, and artisans work hard to shutter the windows and reinforce the walls further. Anna Vidal runs off to get an overview of what's going on. After a few minutes, she returns, wiping her forehead. It seems a large contingent of Aztecs were spotted by our sentries, a day's travel south of here. They will be here shortly before nightfall. Are we prepared? Now that Juan Noriega and his men are here as well, I think our chances are good. Noriega is here? Noriega appears behind the corner of a building and marches up behind Vidal, my mustachioed friend. He looks so jolly in all of these pictures. Good to see you again, El Gato. My people have been spoiling for a real battle since you showed them how true soldiers of Spain fight. Glad you decided to join us, Capitan. Noriega bows as deeply as his breastplate will allow. This is without a doubt the finest roadhouse I've ever lodged in. Roadhouse. And I'm happy to help ensure that it survives the night. What you've done here with this fortress, it's very impressive. Noriega salutes you, then gets back to drilling his troops. We'd better prepare for the battle. I ran into Senor de Montejo while I was asking around. He asked that you come to his workshop when you have a moment. His artisans have been making a few items for the battle free of charge, of course. I'll stop by the workshop. Some of the workers have been making barricades all day from our specifications. They're standing by to set up the barricades once we know what direction the enemy will attack from. Thank you, this could be useful indeed. She runs off to get things organized for the attack. We'll go down to the workshop. And Alvar heads you off on your way to the workshop looking tired. Senor del Splatter, my artisans have been working on some of the things to aid in the defense of the battle, so I've been told. What do you have for me? He motions to a young girl watching from inside the workshop, and she begins bringing out several small wooden chests. Nothing you're unfamiliar with, I would think. 2 net traps, 2 spike traps, and a lantern. Some of the other workers have been assembling barricades for you as well. What about cannonballs? I'm very sorry, Capitan. We weren't sure what you'd need, so we prioritized traps. They're safer to handle in a hurry. If you wish to order more items, we'll expedite the work, of course. Well, we've got enough stuff. Honestly, our supplies are pretty good. And so there's an Aztec warrior. Let's get ourselves a rockin'. A substantial part of the Aztec army is assembling outside your fortress. It's clear that the bulk of their warriors have remained in Tenochtitlan to counter the threat of a direct Totonac assault, but you've certainly got your work cut out for you here. The enemy has divided their army in 2 in order to attack your fortress from different sides, but your fortress garrison is small, and your men are already spread thin. You have little choice but to face them all at once. Night is falling, and it looks like the enemy is about ready to push the attack. You still have a chance to finish your preparations if you don't feel ready to face the attackers yet. Nah, let's do it. Let's sally on out and take care of business, or man the battlements, or whatever it is that we should be doing. We only get to bring 6 guys, which seems a little strange for an all-out battle for survival. It makes me wonder what everyone else is up to, but we did, we accidentally made a tavern, so that might explain the whole thing. Let's put, where is everybody here? Oh, wow, they're pretty far out. There don't appear to be that many of them. Let's kind of pan and scan here for just a moment. Okay, I think we'll have enough time. Let's put the cannon right there, and then we'll just kind of surround it. And so make sure that my doctor is in the right spot. Let's go ahead and swap Kitlali out there, and then we'll start the fight. So the first things first, we're going to take everybody we can and kind of arrange them in 2 little groups of 3 on either side of the cannon. This allows me to keep firing straight out of the cannon if necessary without having to move people around too much. Now, I may put them actually, let's make them fan a little bit. We'll do kind of an echelon type deal here, kind of a wedge, in order to make sure that the cannon has a fanned out range of fire. I kind of like that. It looks neat. It looks neato, peachy keen, all those amazing words that nobody uses anymore, except for Spider-Man. He says neat all the time. But let's go ahead and pass our turn, and we'll see how these guys situate themselves, where they sit at the end of the fight, where their pieces are laid low, and then we'll roll the dice and see. Oh, there's another group back there. Okay. That's actually a pretty sizable battlefield, so we'll keep an eye on the way that they approach us. 18 enemies, actually. That's going to be a pretty good fight. I think they're probably going to come in waves, would be my guess. So we'll have to prioritize who we fire at first versus who we fight with. This is going to look like a pretty intense battle. Yikes. I don't really know how Noriega and all those guys plan on helping us. Maybe there's some NPCs on our side. Let me take a look around the castle after we finish this movement phase. One thing's for sure, the movement of our enemies is going to take forever. I probably should have laid down some traps too. That probably would have been a smart thing to do. We'll throw some lanterns down, things of that nature as the fight gets hotter. At the moment, I don't think we're going to need much more than a cannon though, but 39 spike traps. God, I may have miscalculated here. They're nice and boxed up, it looks like, but they're fairly well spread out, so I think with cannon fire, we should be able to just kind of whittle away at them. This first group will probably be susceptible. Yeah, it'll be susceptible, so we'll do a little bit of damage there. They are closing on us, but where are Noriega and all them? It's weird that they would bring up the fact that we have allies in this situation, but not actually give us the allies. We'll start taking shots, I suppose, at people. It's only a 50% chance to hit, but it's something. It's a 50-50. Anybody we can drop on their way in. Did we get a Relentless there? I wasn't paying attention, but let's have him fall back here. We're actually going to have everybody just sort of wait behind the cannons. Now, we are going to take our shots, even though it's only a 5% chance, because there is that marginal, possibility that we'll deal some extra damage that might kill somebody. So if we can get a kill, we can get a kill. That'll be fantastic. If not, we're not going to cry about it. We may be able to get another cannon shot off in this direction. We are going to make sure that we fire every single time if we have the ability to. And then Kit Lolly has a round as well that she can fire. That's going to be a 72% chance, which is actually a pretty good chance. So one goes down, and then we will actually have people pull back a tad just to make sure that they don't absolutely get into melee with us, because I feel as though I've made a mistake by not laying down traps. The Doctor's going to spend his turn healing the Eagle Warrior. I think we've got a little bit of time as long as they don't double move too much. But in either case, we are going to have a sizable force just to whittle away at. I think it may have been better in this situation to have placed my chips inside the fort. Wow. Ooh, and we are taking shots back now, so we're going to have to deal with this as it comes. I'll probably fire right here for the next cannon round. Just deal as much damage as possible, kind of whittle away at people. I don't really know how close they're coming in from both sides. We may have to abandon the cannon at some point and fall back behind our walls, get ourselves a little bit of cover, and just hope that they lump, really. That's our best chance right now for just the maximum damage being dealt, is hoping that they stay in big blobs as they approach us. That's a tempting shot right there. God, there's so many. And there's so many ranged, too. That's the really bad part, is that there's just ranged everywhere. So what we'll do is we'll take lanterns, I suppose, and we'll drop those right here in the front so that everybody that comes at us has to cross the lanterns. We're going to lose our cannon. I'm probably going to sacrifice the cannon in the greater good of everybody here, but I think a shot to right there, we can't do that. Okay, well, that'll have to do for now. It only dealt damage to one guy, which is a little bit of a waste. It doesn't give you a guaranteed amount of damage on anybody. We can take a shot at him, which is, I think, what we're going to do. He's going to miss. Kit Lolly is going to fire there. And I honestly think we're in a lot of trouble. I probably should have planned this out a tad better. We're going to make as much use of the lanterns and things of that nature as we can. But for now, they actually have a lot of Eagle Warriors. God, this is going to be super nasty. So we will fall back as necessary. We didn't get a Relentless there, and they don't have a Doctor on their front line, so I think we'll probably be all right in that situation. How much HP does the cannon have? 100? All right. So let's go ahead and actually start pacing people back a little bit. We'll allow the cannon to kind of fold a tad. I'm not going to give up the cannon just yet, but I would like to avoid taking kind of ranged fire and things of that nature if I can. We're going to treat this just kind of like crazy bastards, just kind of displacing like crazy, falling back to hold up points, things of that nature. The Doctor, did I use up too many of his moves? I did. All right, so we're going to have to do a heal on the next turn. And I think that leaves us in about as good of a situation as we can be. We'll continue putting down flames and things of that nature as much as we possibly can. Their ranged is going to be in range within the next turn, which leaves us just horribly prepared for this fight. God. That's really weird that the game talks about how many guys you have on your side. Like Noriega showed up. We had 20 people in our barracks, and yet nobody's here to help us. That's kind of an obnoxious design decision. That's one of the reasons I didn't lay down traps or anything of that nature, is because I figured we'd have help, but it appears as though that was just flavor text. I mean, I sincerely doubt that we're going to survive this, though. We've got 1 kill, and they're already on our heels, so yikes. Anticipate opening. I don't even know what that does. We're going to slaughter to the best of our abilities, and we'll make a little choke point, if at all possible. I would like to draw them into a fight in a corridor if we can. The cannon's going to have to take the best shots that it can muster at the moment. And we're also going to start putting lanterns down everywhere we possibly can to get AoE kind of pain just raining down on our foes. There's a little bit more damage there. We'll take a shot on him. And there's another kill, which is exactly what we needed. We'll have the ranged hunter fall back now. I think if we can get them down to 10 or 11, I think we'll survive perfectly fine. I don't think there's anything to worry about if we can get them to that extent, but we've got a 24% chance on that shot, which worked out in our favor, which is good. We will be firing a shot from, well, let's have the doctor fall back for now, and then heal. We'll have him use the poison heal on Vidal because she's actually not missing that much health. We've got Kitlali who's able to fire, and Kitlali, I think, should probably put a poison round on the shaman. And so the shaman's now poisoned, and the shaman has an issue with damage being dealt. I don't think these walls are going to offer us absolute defilade. They're going to give us a little bit, but we definitely need to keep falling back in order to keep ourselves safe from ranged attacks. Once they've got us cornered, we'll kind of live with the results. Right now, I'm sort of hoping that they'll get sidetracked with the presence of the cannon. He's going to heal the Eagle Warrior, which was a brave decision. Instead of taking care of himself, he's going to drop a smoke bomb and move in on us. And so we are almost overwhelmed at this point. It's not so much the melee combat that I'm worried about, because they can really only line up as many enemies against us as you might. Well, I mean, there's going to be a couple enemies that are going to be up against us. I actually didn't expect this fight to be this enormous either. We're actually running out of time, unfortunately, but we'll make do. Yeah, the ranged attacks are what are absolutely going to be just insurmountable, unfortunately. The ranged attacks that they're going to be peppering us with are just going to be brutal. And the firewalls are not expanding at the rate that I hoped they would. So there's another smoke bomb. God. This is a mess. This is just a mighty, mighty mess. Now, if they ignore the cannon, we may find ourselves in a okay situation here. It's hard to tell. And so there's a little more damage. The cannon seems inaccurate and unable to really handle its business, but we'll go ahead and handle this first guy that's entered our camp. And yeah, just kind of pondering the way this is going. I don't see this turning out very well for us, but you know, it is what it is, gents. It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. And so there is almost a potential kill. Let's take a look at whatever damage has been dealt. We do want to drop our lantern for the turn. So I think a good enough spot would very likely be right there. Just create a giant field so at least their hunters have to keep moving around, getting themselves into trouble, just trying to stay alive amidst the flames. If we can turn this area into a giant just mess of fire, I think we'll be a lot better off. I should have just booby-trapped the hell out of this and deployed further back. For whatever reason, I just didn't look around well enough. I've never seen a battlefield this large, so it wasn't something that I was really prepared for in any sense of the word. Now, the thing about this is they are going to have to close with us because the Rangers can actually only fire through their own lines in a certain extent, which is really going to help us out. The fact that they're blocking their own LOS at this point is going to save us. If they were smart, they would set up on the side and take shots at us through the wall, but I just don't see that happening at this point. Luckily, we do have a lot of them ignited, which is going to work out in our favor. But for now, God, we are going to take some melee damage right there. An AoE that was poorly placed. And so everybody's defending at this point. We're going to take this time to drop yet another lantern right there. And we just want people burning like crazy. We just want just burns everywhere. We'll take a shot at... I don't know if I want to fire into our own lines or not. I think that's probably going to backfire on me if I do it. Oh, it didn't. It actually worked. Yay! Precision fire. What we'll do is we'll finish him off now. And so he's got Bloodthirsty. We're going to step our ranged character back and have him take a shot at that gent right there. That's going to be another kill, so we're down to 13. We are making progress in the overall bloodbath. He managed to get a critical hit on that unit. And so I think that means I can probably step Kit Lolly forward. God, I don't even know. Kit Lolly's forward for the slaughter. So they're, 124. That was amazing. Kit Lolly's my hero. And so we'll do a crit right there as well. And our doctor is the only person that has anything left. Let's go ahead and bring him over here and have him start dropping heals on people. Now, at this point, we are going to have to deal with ranged characters, bearing in mind that they are able to break our lines. I mean, the ranged people right now are being dealt with slightly. They aren't taking loads of damage from the fire, but it is enough to get them started to where each of them should only take 1 or 2 hits once we get the whole situation arranged. What we need to hope for is not AoE spam. If we can avoid getting spammed with ridiculous AoEs, I think we'll be all right. Especially if these individuals keep clogging the holes right here and making it so their own men can't fire. The graphics appear to be chugging for the first time, which I've never seen this game do. It seems like we've got a lot going on. Maybe there's some hidden calculations going on within the code that are actually slowing the whole thing down, but we do have the ability to finish off some people now, so let's kill that individual. And I'm terrified to move outside our walls right now. It's just all around a bad idea. But keeping ourselves trapped here does not seem like the best plan either. So I think what I'll do is once I get rid of Coyote, where can I fire to from here? Let's see if I can, just shoot anything at this point. There we go. Just any damage that the cannon can deal for us is going to be useful. We'll drop another lantern right here. And we're just going to go through the full range of just everything we have on them. I'd love to pull back on the next turn or run out. If we can hold the line here without killing anybody, I think the majority of their range will probably burn to death. They are taking a lot of damage from this whole thing, and they aren't focusing on the cannon, surprisingly enough. Which is a little weird, but God. We're beating them down slowly, so we're probably going to lose Kit Lolly right here. And so there's another one of those ridiculous AoEs. He's stunned. We may actually have a break in our lines right here, which would be very unfortunate. We've killed one off by circumstance, but the whole situation is becoming rather unsustainable very quickly. And so I think I may not have displaced quite as neatly as I would have liked to have. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with our fire here from the cannons. And I blew up my own troop right there, which was not part of the plan, but it sort of happened, so we'll live with it. The issue we run into here is that the flames are actually keeping me from reinforcing. So what is a possibility is that we fall back, like so. And I can actually have my doctor somewhat come up here to help in the hopes that this unit will survive till the next turn. So there's that, and he's got a few movement points left. We can actually take a couple rather risky shots at some of these guys and then fall back behind here as well, but I don't see this going very well for us. We're definitely up Schitt's Creek at the moment. If we can hold out long enough, I think the flames will handle them, to be honest. The flames seem to be doing a reasonably decent job of giving us a nice cumulative, nice trickle effect on the damage. And, just trying to survive this situation. If we make it out with one unit, I'd be just absolutely astronomically happy. So our equipment and our gear should carry us a little bit, but for the time being, God. So it's our turn now. We will strike at him. Our doctor will come forward and heal him as best as possible. He doesn't have a lot of health left. And until the flames die down, I don't think we can risk any of these courses of action. I think what I should do is probably put down another lantern right there, and I just made an idiot mistake. But it's alright, we were going to lose that troop anyways. I think he's sitting at 34 endurance, so yeah, he's not looking so healthy anyways. And an attack of opportunity would very likely kill him to begin with, so let's tempt fate since it's going to happen on the next turn anyways, in the odd chance that we get a better displacement. And then we'll have people just kind of fire randomly into the enemy line, see who they can kill, see what kind of damage they can deal to the random troops that are just everywhere at this point. This was a massive tactical failure on my part, so I apologize for not setting traps. That just trapping the hell out of this entryway would have gone just a ridiculous amount of distance to making this whole thing last a little, be a little bit shorter and a little bit quicker. We probably would have killed a great majority of their forces, but we did it hard mode. That's what I'm going to call it. Instead of doing it the stupid way, I'm going to call it hard mode because it makes me feel better about myself. Oh, God. So many ranged. And Juan Ortega's down. So that gives us the time of the day to... Yeah, I was going to say, I wasn't positive that was going to hit anybody. I can't really see through the flames here. We'll drop another one right there just to see what kind of problems we can cause for people. And then what we'll do is we'll pull back behind full cover. I think it's probably a good idea. Just force them to come around to me. We'll also throw a heal on one of my remaining soldiers. Just do the best we can with what we have at this point. We don't have a lot of troops left, so let's take a look and see who here is looking a little the worse for wear and put a round into him. Hopefully he'll burn to death in the next round. It's at 6 versus 4 right now, which I think is winnable. In fact, I know it's winnable because I've done it before, and all of these guys have to walk through the flames to get to us, so... God, and it's going to put them in the firing line of our cannon, too, if they move much further away. So we still have some aces in the hole. We have some cards up our sleeves. Coyotle's going to take some damage there. A double strike. That Eagle Warrior doesn't have anything to threaten us with. That guy's probably going to die before he enters our cave into our fortress. That Eagle Warrior is also going to die before he gets in, and the opportunity for victory is slowly shifting into our favor amidst my initial panic. Oh, and I hit the wrong key. I really, really dislike the fact that I do that all the time. It makes me very sad. It makes me a sad, sad panda. Let's take a shot at him. And then with my doctor, I'm going to try and keep Coyotle alive for another round with just whatever terrible heal I have on hand. 22 health back up. He's sitting at 30 points of health. He'll probably be okay. And then we'll draw him back behind full cover. We can probably take a shot at this guy with the cannon. So down he goes. And that leaves us with 2 poorly supplied, injured foes left who are going to try and close with us. He's probably going to die in the flames right here. If not, we'll get him next turn. He's going to take a bit more damage, and this episode is just becoming ridiculously long. In fact, I doubt it's going to upload properly to YouTube. I may have to split this one into 2 separate episodes or upload it in a ridiculously poor resolution. So let's take the final shot there, and he missed. Of course you missed, idiot. God. Coyotle, don't fail me. Oh my God, I hate you guys so much right now. I am deeply, deeply saddened by your inability to end this combat. Alright, so we'll do one more turn. One more useless... Yeah, exactly. Could we just do that before I shot? He has critical, or she has critical ballistic trauma. We barely survived, with no help from any of the dozens of people that have showed up. When everything is clear and no second attack comes, you allow your troops to stand down and call out your servants to retrieve the wounded for treatment inside the fortress. Noriega comes from his side of the battlefield to make sure everything's alright. Got the blood pumping just like the old days. The natives sure are a mouthful here, quite a lot worse than the balance with the Taino. The Aztec are scarier than the Totonac, sure. What's your plan? You've been aiding the Aztecs. You've clearly got their attention. How has this been going? We're going to overthrow the Aztec Empire and create a trade with the natives. So can I suggest we go one step further in our service to the king? We follow the Totonac to Tenoctitlan and help them take it, then I roll in behind you with my men, and we get rid of the Totonac as well. When Tenoctitlan belongs to Spain, and then the entire region. I'll consider it. And so we're back to here to go. I'm absolutely out of time. I'm actually not sure if this is going to fit onto YouTube under the 2 gigabyte limit, so I'll cut it off here. My name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me in this ridiculously long episode. I hope you'll join me next time and forgive my foibles in not placing traps in that battle, but it worked out in the end, right? So I'll see you guys next time. Take care out there, and I'll see you tomorrow.